Coach Marshall, we appreciate you coming in.
Love it, man. This is exciting for me. A West Virginia boy, I was thinking on the way up here about the people that sat in here and have been through this room. This is pretty awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for your time. And we thought we've on a couple of occasions we've tried to to have lengthier conversations with some of the great coaches. John Lowry was a subject, and again, we appreciate you coming in. So let's go back. 1980s. You're a high school. You're a high school student and athlete. So kind of take us back to those times and how you got your start in all this.
Probably a better student than athlete, I'm afraid to say. I played football, went to Liberty High School, graduated back in 1985. I was, like I say, primarily a football player, and in reality, not a real good one, but definitely a passion. I've had passion for sports since I was old enough to remember. Goes back to the Pittsburgh Pirates that we were talking about off air. And as I grew a little bit older, it's probably about ninth grade, I realized that I just had this desire to coach. It was a way I knew I could stay in sports and stay competitive. And the older I got, the more that desire seemed to turn into almost like a ministry, for a lack of a better way to put it. I just realized that I had this passion to try to help young people and try to develop them. And as I got a little bit older, I got into college. I thought originally I would be coaching football, to tell you the truth. But as I got into college, I took some classes. It weren't even in my major. I just needed to fill in a few electives. Took some classes from somebody you guys might have heard of before down at Fairmont State. When he was done coaching, he taught a few classes, Coach Joe Retton. And just being in his room and hearing him talk, I've still got the notebook I had in that class, and it just really caught fire. And I realized that the preparation, the idea of getting a team ready to play in basketball is just such a challenge. And since then, it just kind of took off. And I've been very fortunate to have many other mentors and people that helped me get started in this business.
When you learn from Joe Retton, and obviously his legend built over a number of decades at Fairmont State with what he was able to do, but any particular takeaways from listening to him and taking a class from him?
Yeah, it's in my notebook, and this is one that might not mean a lot to the average person, but it does. My way of thinking, it does. Discipline is love. That three-word sentence. I think it's probably one of the first things I wrote in that notebook that he had us keep. And discipline is love. And I realized that probably partly a lot because the way I was raised by my parents and the coaches that I had in high school. I realized that our young people still desire to have structure and discipline in their life, even to this day, and they need it, and they need to have that provided. He was, again, just a tremendous mentor to me.
How long did it take for you to get your first break, your first job, and then your first big break that led to a head coaching position?
Boy, that's a bit of a story in itself, in that my first degree, when I was taking those classes with Coach Retton, I was getting a degree in business administration. I went to work in the business firm for about a year and a half. Was doing okay in that as far as financially, but I realized that I wanted to teach. So I went back to school. And when I went back to school, because I already had a degree, I was able to work through a few things, and I was able to substitute teach. And at that time, a guy named Bill Montgomery was the principal at Gore Girls he was the principal at Gore Junior High School, and he needed a girls basketball coach, or he was going to have to do it himself. He found out I was interested. I took the job. He helped me get my foot in the door. I took the job, and then it went from there. And a kind of a funny side note from there, I was thinking about this when I was walking this morning. The very first game I ever coached was out South Harrison. At halftime, the score was 2-0. We were down 6-0 going into the fourth quarter. We lost 6-2, and on the drive home, I thought, man, oh man, I wonder if I made the right move. But after that, I realized I did, and that was kind of a big step.
Well, that was the template defense, right? Like from your very first game.
There you go. I realized then we may not always have the offensive people, but we definitely would have you could always teach and try to get kids to guard people.
You mentioned discipline is love. That's the message from Coach Retton. Has it changed in years that have gone by in how you instill that discipline? Do the players still receive it the same way, or do you kind of have to adapt in ways?
You have to. I've had to change how that's been approached. Society's changed. I've said this from almost the beginning, and again, some of my mentors said this, and I picked up on it. The kids really haven't changed. the way we have raised them, and I'm talking about the adults, whether it be the parents, the coaches, the education system that we worked in, there has been changes. In the process, these kids just try to survive and they try to adapt. And it's our job as educators to try to adapt with them and help them get through the next level. So there's no doubt I coach nowhere near the same way I do now that I did 20, 30 years ago.